Welcome to the Omnic Lab, everybody. We're a podcast that focuses on the strategies inside of the game of Overwatch. I am Andres, aka I Play Games, and today I am replacing Rob. We had a little bit of a scheduling difficulties, so I'll be hosting the show today. But to help me with it, I brought a good friend of mine and returning guest of Omnic Lab, Switch from Omnic Meta. How you doing?
Good. Glad to be back, but of course, I like the episodes with Rob too. So next week he'll be back, right?
Someday you'll be the three of us.
Yes.
Switch is always very kind because whenever I need a host to fill in, he's always available, and he's done it a couple of times. Every time that I can't schedule it with Rob, he's come through. So I really appreciate it. But I promise we'll have you for the trifecta one of these days.
One of these days, maybe for BlizzCon, we could do something live.
Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, BlizzCon is coming up too. Man, things are approaching, things are happening. I'm excited for today. All right, guys. Let's get started with a couple of housekeeping items. As always, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsors, Top Score Solutions. Thank you, Ben, for being a continued sponsor. Ben is offering free business consulting in the esports field. If you want to reach him, you can reach him at topscoresolutions.com or Top Score Esports. The services are free, so make sure you reach out to him if you want to get into these fields. Another one of our sponsors that we always have is Omnic Meta, but we have him in the flesh today, so he can do his own sponsorship. We'll be talking plenty about Omnic Meta coming up. And also, guys, the Humble Bundle monthly affiliate is still going on. If you would like to get Overwatch for $12, make sure you follow our link, humblebundle.com/monthly ? Partner equals Omnic Lab. I know it's a little bit of a handful, but we do have the link available in our website, in the show notes, and as in our Discord as well. We'll be tweeting out here and there, so just be on the lookout for it. It's out there. It helps the show, and it's a good way for you to get Overwatch really cheap. Also, last item on the list, Con Before the Storm, the Overwatch panel that is happening right before BlizzCon on Thursday, November 1st, I believe. That's the date. Rob and I will be part of the panel. We'll be attending. If you happen to be at BlizzCon, it's a great place to come hang out, meet other people, hang out with the Overwatch community as well as many other communities of content creators. You can meet us, exchange a beer here and there. I don't know. It's a great time. Switch, you were there last year.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I didn't know what to expect, but I can tell you it's a fantastic way to kick off BlizzCon. It's just instead of the 20,000 people or something, maybe it's just 1,000. But wow, you can really just go mingle with people, meet people. I bumped into a number of people, you and Rob, and then I also met Ryan from Overwatch Central. Who else did I meet? A bunch of other people, and of course a lot of people from our Discord. So it was just really great to just kick off BlizzCon by just hanging out. Enjoying some drinks, that kind of stuff.
It's like the warm-up before BlizzCon, before the event really kicks in. The anticipation is still high. Everyone's super hyped. Everyone is very friendly. If you're looking for a crew to hang out, it's probably one of the best places to find a good group that you can, have for the rest of the trip. I know that a lot of you fly solo, so it's one of those great moments to just meet other people, and is the place to do it. So hope to see you there. We are very excited to do it. We did it last year, and we are very grateful that they're having us again this year. So be there or be square. All right, let's get into some Overwatch news. The game continues to evolve. A new patch has come out. This one including the Halloween event for this year. Lots of really cool skins. We were talking about before the show that this probably is one of the best batches of skins that they have released so far. Which one is your favorite Switch?
Oh, I Soldier without a doubt. Soldier is a slasher. I mean, I thought it was a cool skin, and then I logged in, and they have the particle effect of the orange breath coming out of his mask,
Oh,
and
that's
that
awesome.
completely sold me. So, what about you?
Oh, those are the best. Yeah, yeah. He's kind of like the Jason vibe, right? Like of like
Yeah.
just like slasher movies. Yeah, horror slasher. It looks really cool. I'm kind of torn actually. I really like a lot of the skins. I'm a big fan of the Widowmaker spider skin. Like the colors of it are just really, really cool. The gun with the spider webs looks awesome. The McCree looks really cool, very badass. I like the bandana with the skull in front of his face. Undead McCree.
I was going to ask you about that. So, what do you think? I mean, he's got green eyes, right? So it's kind of like a glow of the undead, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's like a phantom undead, just evil, evil mercenary bandit.
So, my second favorite though is Banshee Moira. Like, I just
Banshee
love that
Moira.
skin.
Oh yeah,
I
she looks very
love that
cool.
skin because I don't know. I guess the purple glow and the fact that she's like all pale and doesn't, just has white eyes. It just
She reminds me of like a WoW enemy. Like if you're playing World of Warcraft, like you might find her in the world and you can get to kill her.
exactly.
That's
Yeah,
what she
yep.
looks
I
like to
think
me.
it just plays into her character really well.
Yeah, she's very cool. Um, you know, Enchanted Armor Farah. She's kind of like this headless horseman kind of vibe. I kind of like it a lot. You don't get to see her without the head throughout the game, but at the end she does take the head off and kind of
I,
looks a little creepy.
I was thinking that what she's always got her helmet on in the game, so it's kind of like you don't see her head anyway, right?
Oh yeah,
But
right.
it's a really cool skin though, especially um if you can get play of the game or something like that, and she's holding the helmet next to her, like the
Yeah.
base one, and she doesn't have a head. Like that's pretty cool. Yep.
I like it. I like it. One of
Yeah.
the cool ones too is the Doomfist one. Missed opportunity with the name though. They called it Swamp Monster, but I think a lot of people online were like, "Dudes, you should have called it Doomfish." Come
Some
on,
fish.
come on, Blizzard.
It is cool. So he's like the swamp thing or whatever, right?
It runs like
Pretty cool.
Like a Scooby Doo kind of like villain, or like
Like a 30s like horror movie, like from the swamp. That
yeah, yeah.
thing.
I
Yeah.
don't know if this is like way too old, but did you ever see a show called Johnny Quest on like Cartoon Network?
Yeah. Yeah.
This
A long
is like
time
a
ago.
really really old 90s show, but it's like the kind of villain that
Yeah.
I would expect to see kind of there. So I like it. It's kind of like a retro vibe. I'm showing my age over here with the shows.
Hey, Johnny Quest isn't that old. That's not old.
Okay, okay.
Scooby Doo's way older, man.
Yeah, that's true. They're kind of like this around the same style, I feel.
Yeah.
What do you think about the event itself, though? Are you excited for Halloween to come back? Do you like the Junkenstein Revenge?
It's the third year they've had Junkenstein's Revenge, right? And they've changed it a little bit last year. That last year they added Symmetra as one of the bosses, and they gave her the dragon skin, which is really cool. This year they didn't really change much, did they? They did give you the ability to have like a larger pool. Like it used to be what? McCree, Soldier, Anna, and what's
Hanzo.
the other one? Hanzo. And now you've got
I think they added
Genji.
Torbjorn
Yeah,
too
they added
eventually.
Torb and Genji and a handful of other ones, like even Zen. So it's still fun. I mean, it's a good warm up. You click arcade and you see that there's 2 out of the 5 things there are Junkenstein's Revenge. It's a cool event. Skins are great. We just talked about those. Uh, am I going to play Junkenstein's Revenge and try to make a leaderboard if they have one? Probably not.
Yeah, to be completely honest with you, this is probably the first year where some of these events are losing the magic a little bit for me. I don't know if it's because I played them a lot during the last few years. I kind of got the most out of them already. And I feel like I've already seen this. I've already done this. I'd rather just play the game. At this point, the novelty has worn off for me a little bit, I think.
At the same time, there's still new players coming in all the time. Like I got a new
Right.
account using using the Humble Bundle Omnic Lab
Yes.
partner code.
Good job, Switch. Good job.
It's always a good time to get a new account and get some friends. So I got some friends to get it to. But you see all these new players just playing, and you can tell that they're new. I mean, just being like high plat myself, I'm not an amazing player, but these players are new, and they're gonna enjoy the event. It's gonna be new for them. They're gonna have fun with it.
Yeah, for players who've never played the Halloween event, it's probably a great time, right? Like the first time I played it, I thought it was really cool. It's a different way to enjoy Overwatch. Absolutely. Like you say, it's a good warm up. I think that for playing McCree, for example, if you're trying to get the hang of the mechanics, it's actually a pretty good exercise to do. It won't make you go pro with him, but just to at least get a good handle on the mechanics is definitely a nice little event. But I don't know. For me, I'll pass this year.
So one question though, I guess there's one thing that we didn't mention, that they changed some of the maps, right? They gave them the Halloween theme. What do you think about that? And
I do
competitive,
like
right?
that. Hey,
You like it?
anything that's cosmetic, I like. If you're gonna want to get in the vibe, I like it. It feels like they do the same with maps every year. They just pick like one or two, and then they give it the event treatment. I think last year we had like Eichenwald, and we had King's Row. Were those that were chosen?
Did
Or
they do Kings Row?
maybe I'm thinking of the
Winter one?
the Wonderland or whatever it's called.
So I can't remember how many they had, but this time I feel like they have more for sure.
My
and
guess
one
is
thing
their plan is they eventually want to eventify all of the maps,
maps.
right? Yeah.
I think it's great. One thing that they did change too is they changed the chateau for deathmatch. So now it's got the Halloween theme too, which is kind of
Yeah,
cool
that one
if you
looks
want to
cool.
warm up and stuff. Yeah, it's super dark, which is kind of weird because it was kind of dark in the basement.
Yeah,
right?
the map was
And then
already
it
kind
was
of dark
light
in the
outside.
first place.
Well, but now it's all dark, right? So it's a little bit different. The
That's
funny
a good
thing
map
is,
for a horror theme too, like that abandoned mansion in the middle of like the lake.
yeah, that's not scary in and of itself, is it? There have been like some top 500 players, top Twitch streamers and stuff that don't like the event maps though. Like they just want to keep everything the same because they feel like now it's a little dark. I can't see if there's an opponent there, in the dark. You don't? What do you think about that? I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's good to have some change and variety.
If you're
I don't know if
looking
I
at
agree with
it,
them.
if you're looking at it from a purely competitive standpoint, then yeah, these players are never gonna want change. They get used to one thing and they get really good at that one thing. When you change even a slight little variable of that one thing, it throws them off, and they feel like it might be a reason why they might not be performing at the top of their level or something. I personally think that it's part of being a top player, adapting, and I know it's just a cosmetic thing. Most of these players, I think, would want an option to maybe disable the theme. I don't know if that would be possible for Blizzard to kind of satisfy them. Just like if you don't want the Halloween themes, we'll disable it for you. You don't have to see it. But in other sports, for example, if you go to play soccer in a location where it's raining or slightly snowing or something, like you're still playing, you know what I mean? There's no, oh, I'm not used to this, change it back. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
these are the conditions, adapt to them, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how I see it.
And it affects everybody.
Right.
It's not just you, it's all the 12 people that are playing that match. So everybody's got to adapt, not just you. So
yeah, I can see why they're discontent, but I would just say like just deal with it. It's not that big of a deal.
I think even more than deal with it, why not just enjoy it? It's a little bit of change. It's a little bit of maybe extra challenge for you to learn something or find a spot, or that could be part of the fun. Maybe you find a really dark spot on the map where now you can just chill out. You could put like one of the darker skins and just chill in the dark and then jump on somebody. I mean, who knows?
Just Reaper's preferred location.
Right.
You can just sit in the corner while facing the wall and nobody can see you.
Something like that.
That'll be fun. I've actually seen people do that before. I think it was like with the McCree white skin. This one guy just used the city mode in one of the rocks in Gibraltar, and at a certain angle, it looked just slightly close enough that you couldn't tell it was McCree. You could just think it's a rock, and because you're sitting down, you don't see like the your icon above you or whatever.
Hmm.
So the enemy team kind of just like passed by, and then he just like stood up and like killed him from behind with a high noon. It was pretty funny.
Nice.
Alrighty, I think that'll do it for the event talk. Let us know what you guys think. Are you guys enjoying the event? Are you playing Junkenstein's Revenge? Is it something that you enjoy? Is it still working out for you? Would you like to see new events? Something that I'm curious about. But let's move on to the next piece of news. BlizzCon media badges have been approved for Omnic Labs. So Rob and I get to go to BlizzCon as media, which we are very excited about. Again, this is the second year in a row that we've been fortunate enough to be able to get these. So we're going to be doing our best to get as much coverage as we can of the event, get interviews, get other community members. If you are a fan or something and you happen to stumble upon us, there's a good chance that we might record you, or at least have you say hey to the microphone. We want to do an audio collage, kind of like how we did last year. So yeah, we were very excited. We'll be there. There's a lot of stuff to do, so I'm sure it's gonna be 2 very very busy days for us. I know that Switch, you were very interested in this sort of event too, because you're gonna be attending BlizzCon, and as some of you know, Switch runs Omnic Meta, which is a stat-based website. He dissects Overwatch statistics, basically, of players and during the game. He has everything very nicely laid out on his website. And I know that you're very interested in like meeting other people at BlizzCon that share this interest and that build kind of these systems.
Absolutely. I'd love to meet with people that love the stats articles I put out. Wants to tell me what they like about it, what they maybe like to see me do, or other things. If I now have the player stats, which I guess we're going to maybe discuss a little bit later. If you have suggestions for that, of course, I just want to hang out with people. I'm a big fan of Overwatch. I love Overwatch. It's a good time to kind of hang out together and too. So, and I'm hoping to hopefully bump into some people at BlizzCon and try to find out more. I'd love the really great thing is I'd love to chat with some Overwatch developers on the stuff that they're working on. I've got some ideas, and I'd also just like to hear from them. What are their challenges like trying to give us stats? Everyone wants like per match stats to be on their career profile. I'd love to just chat and pick their brain and find out what the challenges are there. So I think people would be really interested to find out about that. So.
I think so too. I know that I personally am, and I know especially in the competitive scene, there is a big, big demand for this sort of information. And so far, it's been a little limited. Guys like you have done a great job of providing some insight in that regard to the community, which I'm very happy that you do. Thank you so much, Switch. But yeah. Absolutely. Hopefully, you can find some people over there to talk about all stuff. We need to get you a media badge for next year.
I'd love one sometimes. Sometimes that feels like that's the entry card to sit down with people that have some interesting stuff to say. So maybe next year.
Get all the juicy deets. All right, guys, that'll do it for the news for today. Let's move on into some of the main discussion points that we wanted to touch on today's episode. Like we mentioned, Switch runs Omnic Meta, and I thought it would be a good idea to maybe talk through how you have the website laid out. We'll use my profile as a guinea pig. I volunteer as tribute. I'll embarrass myself with my own statistics over here. But maybe just for a person that was coming into your website, what should they expect to see, and how can maybe they use the information that you're providing them to do some actionable stuff later during the game or during their practice moments to actually improve? And also we can talk about some of the different categories that you have over here per hero and what those numbers mean, and kind of give like a little breakdown on how to utilize your website the best.
So one part of the website, which I'm sure if you've ever gone to Omnic Meta, you realize is I put out periodically, I put out articles kind of like how has the patch changed, say the meta in Overwatch, things that are a bit more broader and high level, like what heroes may actually be pretty strong, what heroes may not be as good. The player stats are kind of really meant more for helping you improve and track your progress individually. So on the top of every page, it gives you the opportunity to basically input your battle tag, your player name if you're on console, and look up your profile. And if you have a public profile, which is the trick, your data will come up. If it's the first time that you've looked it up, it'll just show all the data that you have right now. Once you log in, the site periodically tracks you. Right now, it's set up to try to do it every day, so that it'll collect data every day so that you can track your progress. So if you go the main page, when you look up your profile, it'll tell you in competitive mode, let's say, your skill rating over time, your overall wins and losses per day over time. And
And you get
so
to see some really nice charts over here. He basically lays it out over time. So in my particular profile, I get to see the data from September 9th all the way to October 1st. And I can also expand that. That is the data for my current season, but I can look at the data for the week, for the month, and all time as well. So it gets pretty detailed.
that's right, and that's actually something I just added in about a week and a half ago. The ability to not only look at your season, but look all time across competitive mode. All time here isn't all time, only from the time that you first looked up your data on Omnic Meta.
So that's
The,
something important to note. If you want to take advantage of Switch's website the most, make sure that you at least log in your battle tag once so the system registers it, right?
yeah, yep. But the whole point of player stats in general, and so I built this for myself, so and got a lot of input from people on the Omnic Lab Discord, as well as I keep getting requests and comments from people on email too. But the whole point is that you want to track your progress, and maybe you have a hero that you're trying to learn. I have semi-limited time. I'm not a college student anymore. I'm not staying at my parents' house anymore. But I want to make sure I get the most out of what I'm doing. So this season, I'm playing a lot of Tracer. I'm trying to learn Tracer. Haven't played her much at all. So I'm tracking my progress and seeing where can I improve on that hero. So the player stats breaks everything down by hero. For each hero, it not only tracks your wins and losses and how much time you've played the hero, but it also tracks 6 particular statistics that I did some statistical analysis, and these are the 6 statistics for this hero that are the most tied towards higher win rates, for example.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about these and why you decided that these were worthwhile to looking, and then also how you read them, because they're not like you have to read them a specific way for them to actually make sense.
That's right. So there's a number of different player stat sites. The site that I've developed basically has stats per minute. So there are the 6 statistics per hero that are basically tracked and give you a percentile. So for example, this season, or let's be more fair, let's do all time.
We can do this
For
season.
Andres.
You can embarrass me. It's
I'm
okay.
just poking fun at Andres. If you look at Andres's Widowmaker all time, which is I think since August 9th was the first time he logged in. So he got in before it was publicly released.
I'm a cool guy. I'm a cool kid.
He's an early adopter. If you look at his Widowmaker, he's got, let's say, a 60% win rate, and he's played 3 hours in competitive and has an overall rating among diamond players of 60th percentile. 50th percentile means that he would be split in the right in the middle, or average. So he's above average. And if you look across,
and now I got a quick question for you here. You're separating these into tiers, right? So this would be above average in diamond, right?
That's right. Most of these other websites, and this is again me building a site that I think kind of better represents what can be helpful to a player. You want to know if you're bronze, it's possible to have statistics like a grandmaster, for example. Does that make you a grandmaster? It doesn't. But so it's just more. It makes more sense to just rate your statistics based on your tier. If you know that you're substantially above average, for example, I've got several heroes that I play a lot of time on that are 80th percentile. That would mean that I'm actually very successful. Like for example, Andres' McCree is always highly. That's your hero since launch.
That's my boy.
Right?
That's my boy.
I know. Now, he's not meta anymore, sadly, so you can't just roll all the way up to Grandmaster with him. But that's a hero that you're obviously well above Diamond on. If he was good, you probably could climb even more.
And you say this because your statistics are saying that over here that my all-time McCree stats are in the 86th percentile of Diamond rank, which means
that's right.
is way above the normal Diamond average.
That's right.
Okay, that's right. I like the sound of all this. Yeah, keep telling me all these stats, Switch.
So the hope is now, does having a high percentage like rank for the hero, does that mean you're 100% going to climb? No, there's always some nuance.
Right.
Whenever you think about improving, these statistics are meant to be used in part to help you figure out how to improve. You also want to do VOD reviews. You want to record your games, think about your mistakes. For example, you might be a great Widowmaker, but for some reason you keep shooting tanks. So you have very high hero damage because you just shoot tanks when you should be, aiming for that Mercy that's flying across the screen instead.
Right. And that's definitely important to note. But it is interesting, and it's worth noting that when you're reading statistics on Switch's website, definitely keep in mind that you're comparing yourself to everyone in that same rank. He's not comparing you to the entire population. So if you are at Platinum, you're not getting compared with Diamond or Master or Grandmaster players or anything below. You're getting compared with other players in that same rank, and that's how he's getting these ratios, which I think makes it very significant when you look at that number based on, rather than looking at where are you with the entire population.
Yeah. So if you look again at the heroes, these statistics. So for Widowmaker, the analysis says that eliminations, hero damage, final blows, recon assist, scoped critical hits, and deaths are the 6 most important statistics.
And also, these are custom for the hero, right? You've come up with different statistics based on different heroes, right?
That's right. So for example, you might think that it might be obvious that for Genji, Dragon Blade kills might be something important, or for McCree, Deadeye kills. So the ultimates and abilities are often in those statistics. So something key about these statistics that I found is that keeping track of the statistics per minute gives you a good idea whether you're being productive or not, right? Mm-hmm. Are you really contributing? Some sites that I've seen, they do it, per game, or they do it per death, or they do different things, and that kind of obscures what you're trying to do. You're trying to figure out, am I doing enough damage? If I'm Sombra, am I spending so much time invisible, just goofing off, right, that I don't actually put out any damage?
Right. But at Sombra, if you're goofing off and relaying all the information so that your team is winning the team fight, then you might be doing okay.
You might be doing okay. So again, VOD reviews. You want to take the statistics and you want to say, oh, right. So I didn't make any big mistakes this game, but I also just kind of hung out and did, I stayed in the back and didn't actually try to, pressure any supports or anything. So for each of these statistics, you can look on the site. And again, feel free to email me or contact me if you have feedback or have ideas for the site. Each statistic also gives you a rating to figure out where are you. Are you Diamond? Are you how are you, for example, for Andres, where are you in Diamond? Are you 50th percentile in Diamond for damage? Are you 30th percentile? And here you can actually start to find some of your weak links, like something that maybe you're not doing. So what's an example of that? Well, one thing would be I play Tracer, and I find that I have great statistics except pulse bomb kills. Oh, okay. That's not something that's necessarily obvious with me listening or watching my own VOD review. I'm not using pulse bombs well, so I need to work on that. So that's something that you can, as an example, you could learn from this.
Yeah, I remember that a while back when I was looking at your statistics, I remember that for Widow in particular, I noticed that one of my lowest statistics was recon assists. And I was like, it got me thinking, like, I've gotten really good at shooting people in the heads, but I've actually haven't put that much thought into where am I placing my Widow mine for people to be able to see other people, or am I using my ultimate at the correct times so that my team can get kills? Am I just using it for me myself to get kills, or am I using it very inefficiently? And since then I've tried to pay more attention, like, is my Hanzo getting hunted down by a flanker? Can I activate my Recon right there and allow him to just shoot that tracer as she's coming around the corner, etc. So I think examples like this of statistics can show you maybe weak points on the play of individual heroes.
And another big thing too is deaths. Are you dying too much? Are you really feeding or not? Some people think that they are. Some people think, oh, I'm playing Doomfist, I'm feeding, I'm dying so much, and it doesn't matter if I'm getting kills, I just keep dying. And it may turn out that that's actually okay. That that's your deaths per minute is not as bad as you think. You're actually well above average. You have a higher percentile on that, so you don't die as much as other people. So it's good to kind of reinforce how well you do. And one of the cool things about the site is you can click on your hero and it'll give you a hero specific page and it'll show you the curves. It'll show you the percentiles and you'll be like, oh, if I can really improve if I can just get 20 more damage a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that are within grasp. Or wow, I'm really dying a lot. Like you can see that there are people in this game that are dying half as much as I am. So I think these things can be helpful.
You get ranked in the percent. Let's talk about the deaths category, because that is a category that you have basically for every hero, and I feel like it works the inverse of the other ones when you read this one in particular, because the higher your percentile rank, the better it means you're doing, right? In this
you're dying
categories,
less. That's right. So if you never die, you will be in the 99th percentile, right? You'll be in the in the highest percentile. You will be the best player ever because you've never died from that perspective.
But like you said, it's something that is worth paying attention to, because maybe you're in the 99th percentile for deaths, but then all your other areas are maybe on the low side, which might mean
right.
that you might not be engaging as often. Maybe you're spending too much time in the back. Maybe you're wasting too much time regrouping, and you're not in the right places to take the right action. It's almost like the category that you want to see decrease as your other categories increase, right?
Definitely, because dying, especially for newer players or players that are in lower tiers, bronze, silver, that are trying to improve, you can look and see that this is often a statistic that they can improve on the most, that trying to survive or realizing when should I try to go for the kill or when should I not, that can really help improve your other categories. Because if you're dead, you can't contribute. You can't put out damage, you can't heal anybody, you can't shield anybody. So yeah, that is a very important category, and that's actually why it's in here.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about maybe some other fallacies that you might commit while reading the data. I remember that when I first started going to your website, and again, sticking with the Widowmaker examples, since she's kind of like the very first hero. If you guys want to look at this, you can actually look at my profile. You can go to omnicmeta.com, and in the little bar, you can just type my name tag. I'm kind of like having second thoughts if I want to give out my name tag live, but Screw it. Just for the sake of the exercise, you can just type I play games number 1904 and you can look at my profile so that this episode makes more sense. If you're listening to the episode and you want to follow along, you can do so like this. But for with Widowmaker statistics specifically, hero damage is a very tricky stat for her because you're comparing Widow with every other hero in hero damage, right?
No, no.
Okay, this is
These
this is
are
worth
hero
noting then.
damage. That's right. Each category of stat is only for that hero. So eliminations only across all Widow players at Diamond for your stat. For hero damage, the same thing. But
Okay,
it is important, right? That that's why you never want to focus in on one statistic either, right? Because that damage could mean anything. You could be shooting tanks and never killing them, shooting that roadhog, never killing them.
and it's true for Widowmaker, for example, having a low hero damage score, but maybe having a high eliminations score might mean they might just be being very efficient with your shots. You maybe are not shooting as many of them, but you're shooting it at the right targets, and you're shooting at targets that you can kill very efficiently. Like you said, you might be avoiding shooting at tanks at all because even though you can rack up a lot of damage on tanks, it's really hard to get a kill on a Widowmaker and like a Roadhog, for example, that can heal. And for the most part, you might be feeding ultimates into their healers. You're just taking large chunks of health, that then the healer is just like, yummy, yummy. Let me get some ultimate off of his damage real quick. Well, if you instead were shooting the healers and getting a large amount of kills there, your damage might still look really low, but the impact you had on the game was probably really large.
Yeah, I think that's right. So the other thing with Widow in particular is looking at final blows, right? That means that you've got the kill shot, which is what Widow's supposed to be all about. You're supposed to be
Hmm.
getting that headshot. You're supposed to be, finishing people. And actually, it's interesting because if you're looking at your stats, Andres, your scoped critical hits is basically the same as your final blow. So that means anytime you get that critical hit, it's a kill for Widow.
I'm
So
getting
that's
those
good.
headshots.
That means that actually, if you think about it, so it means that you're not really shooting tanks, right? Because otherwise you'd be hitting these critical hits and you wouldn't be killing the Roadhog.
Well, it is really interesting because when I'm looking at the stats with Widow, at least for this particular page, my Widow on paper looks very good in terms of scope critical hits and my win percentage, and my percentile in rank. But then if you look at my hero damage and my eliminations overall,
Yeah.
they're on the low side, and you might be thinking like, well, that's terrible, right? Um, but like you said, it might mean other things. It might mean, yeah, my focus might not be on the big targets. I might be taking my time to take some of these shots, but when I'm shooting, I'm getting them. When I'm getting the critical hit, I'm getting the kill. Um, it might mean why my percentile is there, but then might also make me think, am I being aggressive enough? Maybe my Widow is being good, but maybe the pace of it is a little on the slow side. Maybe I have to get a little faster in getting these kills, right?
It could be, right? If you look, you're only, this says you're
Right.
dying
I mean,
0.75 a minute,
the
which is the
point is
70th.
trying to come up with like conclusions about your game as you're looking at the hard data, right?
So you could just look at these numbers and say, oh, these are low. Let me try to get more damage. Let me try to get more eliminations. That's the same as trying to basically saying, oh, I should win the game. Right? You want to have a deep analysis and think, why is it this way? Um, for me, I found that my a lot of it can come down to positioning for me when I was playing Tracer. Like I'm not hitting pulse bombs because I'm shooting the wrong target, right? I'm not getting pulse bomb kills. Instead, I'm sticking some tank, and now I'm not able to kill the tank because I'm not setting up that kill properly,
Hmm.
or I'm not getting a lot of damage, but I always feel like I'm in the fight. Well, maybe I'm playing too far away or too close and not hitting my shots. So you want to use this as a tool to help you improve, to figure out basically start asking questions why, right? Like
Yeah,
why is my eliminations a little bit lower than average? Why is my hero
I
damage a
think
little
that's
lower?
it's the best way to do this type of things. Being able to see these categories and maybe some discrepancies in between them. Being able to see in what aspect of your hero you're excelling, but in what aspect you're falling a little bit short. And then after looking at that, think about your own gameplay. What's been happening? You know, what's your approach? What's your style? Are you a little bit too passive? Or vice versa. Maybe you're a little bit too aggressive. And even though you might be a great shot, your aggressiveness might be leading you to die a little bit early before you can really make an impact in the battlefield.
That's right. And I think so. One thing so the site also has a nice feature where you can look and see. Unfortunately, Blizzard doesn't let you get per game data, per match data.
Hmm.
But what we can do is basically do it per day. So you can see, oh, well, this day I played 2 games of Widow, and this is how I did. I died a lot, or I didn't die much. Why did I lose this game? And you can look back and say, oh, I wasn't hitting my shots. That was just unlucky. Maybe you realize that something just happened with the game that just was out of your control. Sometimes you have your aim's on point, sometimes it's not. So you can just, move past that. Or maybe you find, oh, I just died a ton. Or I, wasn't I didn't use my ultimate well at all. I got no recon
Right.
assist at all. So obviously I just was blowing my ultimate. Why was I doing that?
Let's jump into a few other heroes in here, just kind of like to set some other examples of how I might be using this data or how some of you might be able to use this data. Let's go into Genji, because Genji, I think I got a few good things to say about him. If you're just looking at these stats from Genji, you can see that my eliminations in general are looking good. My final blows are looking good. I got like, I'm in the 63rd percentile for eliminations, 58th for diamonds, so slightly above average. But there's two categories in my Genji that are very lacking: hero damage and critical hits. For the most part, I'm a hit scan player, and I'm very used to heroes like McCree, like Widowmaker, Soldier to a certain extent. I think if you look at my most played hours, is with those heroes. And I think when it comes to heroes like Genji, I can get away with playing heroes like Genji just because of game sense that I've developed over time. I think that most of my kills come from being opportunistic, being able to catch heroes when they're a little weakened or not paying attention, just sneaking in, getting the kill, getting out. But I can definitely tell that from my own gameplay experience and looking at the stats, hitting the shurikens is not my forte, right? Like most of my kills are probably coming from dashes, melee shots, and hitting shots from like really up close. But my damage from probably like medium to long range is very lacking. I'm probably missing a lot of shots from those angles. Probably not building my Dragon Blade as fast as I can because of that, and that's why my Dragon Blade is also a little lacking in in that category. Um, what do you think, just from looking at these stats?
I think you're spot on. So like you said, you made an interesting comment, right? That, oh, my Dragon Blades, I could have more Dragon Blades if I got my hero damage up, right? So maybe
Right.
that's something that's really interesting that can come out of the stats. You're like, oh, right. If I get, I can charge up more ultimates if I do more damage, and if I hit more critical hits, I get a double of my damage. So maybe the thing I should be focusing on is trying to really do those left clicks, right? Fling the shurikens from distance and get some, click some heads, right? So you can do that. You can get the hero damage
Right.
and then maybe get more blades.
It
The
really
other thing,
looks like my lack of damage comes from a lack of finesse of the shots, right? It might even be that I'm shooting them the right way. I'm just not hitting the critical spots. Like my critical hits with Genji are so low that my damage suffers, right?
yeah, and let me just say, kind of anecdotally, that looking at my own stats over time, that's something that just seems common. Like there are people that Now, maybe these people that have thousands and thousands of hours of playing first-person shooters, they don't struggle with this as much. But uh, it takes a certain mindset to really make sure that maybe even for Genji, doing left clicks and getting crits, you have to build up into that. So that's something you have to
Hmm.
consciously kind of work on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Another interesting hero. Let's jump into McCree because McCree is a very interesting guy. Is definitely one of the heroes that I perform the best in. But if you look at it, he actually is ranked fourth in based on my win rate. Just based on my win rate, he's the fourth hero, coming in at a 45% win rate. So even though I have been performing really well on the hero when I play it, um, it's not producing the results that you would expect, right?
Yeah. I mean, it turns out that just having high stats doesn't always equal wins, which is why that stats, just can't be used by themselves to see if you're doing great. Now, can you lose games when you do everything right? Absolutely. So it's hard to tell what the reason for the loss is. One thing that's interesting, if you go looking at Andres's McCree stats hero page, you can look at this chart that I love. It has 7 line graphs on it at once, which basically shows you your overall rating over time and then your stats rating for each of the 6 stats over time.
Hmm.
If you look this season, for example, one thing is that you didn't have many Deadeye kills. So if you're wondering, well, maybe I didn't, why did I lose some of those games? Well, maybe those games would have been losses regardless of how you did. But one thing is that maybe if you had gotten a Deadeye kill here or there, somehow, like maybe the shield goes down right at the second that you Deadeye, and then the enemy shield goes down, and then you can get one kill. Maybe that would have made a difference in a fight, and you could have won.
That
Hard to
is
tell.
true. I was actually looking at the Deadeye stat a little bit differently. And it's just because I know my playstyle, right? If
Well,
you
you are the expert. So, first of all, how many hours of McCree do you have total? Like, that's your definitely highest most played, right? So,
yeah, I think it's close to like 200 hours or something like that.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
insane, but it's definitely up there.
yeah.
Um, it's interesting because in most of my categories for eliminations, hero damage, final blows, critical hits, and even deaths, I'm in a really high percentile. Most of it above 80th percentile in most of these stats. So I'm definitely putting in a lot of damage. I'm definitely getting kills. I'm getting those headshots in. I'm not dying a lot with McCree. But then if you look at my Deadeye kills, they are way below most of the other categories, coming in at the 40th percentile. So, like you said, Switch, I'm not getting a lot of kills with Deadeye, but I think that also comes down to how I've been using Deadeye. I think that over time, I've stopped using Deadeye for the massive, I'm gonna get 4 kills in this thing and win the point by myself kind of thing. And I've evolved into more of did the Farah just use her rocket pack? Okay, did I kill her just by herself? I don't care about anything else. If Mercy happens to be there too, well, great, I kill her too. But for the most part, I'm just looking for like an easy kill, quick and easy. Or sometimes I'm not even using it for a kill. Sometimes if I'm in the middle of the fight and I just need more bullets, I'll just pop my Deadeye. And I might not be able to Deadeye at the moment because I'm, in the middle of the fight. They're shooting at me. So I just pop it, cancel it to instantly reload and just continue, pumping out the damage, pumping out the critical hits that I know I'm going to get, right? It's the hero that I've been practicing. So I feel confident doing that stuff with him. Um, so that's kind of like my reasoning of why these stats might look like this.
Which is good, right? So you asked the question why, like, well, why is your win rate maybe a little lower? Turns out that sometimes there are games you just can't win, so it's not up to you. Uh, and one thing that seems maybe a little bit low is your Deadeye kills, and you're saying, well, it's just not part of my playstyle. Maybe if you look at this 7 line chart, it might say that there were several games where you had no opportunities to do that. So if you really take a stretch, you might find that, well, maybe there was one case, again, watching the VOD reviews, I could have used Deadeye here.
Right.
Maybe I was holding on to it. I could have used it here. I could have used it just to put it into the Rhine Shield, right, or something. Um, who knows? I mean, maybe there's something like that actually, because they did change it, right? So anyone behind it replicates the damage, right? So you actually could shred a Rhine Shield now with anyway.
I think
That's
that this can also tell you some things about the meta because even though I might be performing with McCree, he might not be the right tool for the job. Maybe I'm going against team compositions that I can pump a lot of damage into. I can maybe get some kills, but guess what I can't do? I can't contest the point. Like, it comes to mind, for example, the Goats comp, going triple tank, triple support. Playing as McCree against that type of composition is a nightmare. Everyone has super large health pools. There's a lot of healing going on. They can trample you. They can just speed boost towards you and just trample you out of existence, and you have no way of getting out of the way. So even though I could be doing good in the hero, it's just not gonna be very impactful in that sort of scenario. So I think it's another thing that you might keep in mind when you're looking at stats like this. Are you performing well on the hero, but still losing a lot of games? Might there be other factors coming into play, like the meta in general?
Yeah, I think that's spot on too. Well, it makes me think back to many seasons ago. I think it was season 2. I was a new player, hadn't really played first person shooters at all before, and here I am playing in silver, almost dropping into bronze, playing diva. And I must have lost so many matches. And looking at statistics at that time, not on Omnic Meta because it didn't exist, but I felt like my stats were good. You look and I'm not dying that much. I'm putting out good damage, but man, I did not know what I was doing. At the time, Diva, I'm trying to remember if she was in the meta or not. But either way, I wasn't playing my role properly, right? So one thing is the meta. Maybe the other thing is maybe not playing your role exactly right. But I guess getting back to what you're saying about the meta, it's a good point. And I think the DPS heroes, especially, well, though Roadhog is kind of in the same sorry state these days, but DPS heroes are very situational because there's just so many of them. And McCree is good for certain things. And right now, Doomfist is super hot, and Sombra is somewhat as well at the highest tiers. So maybe it's just not time for McCree, which is okay.
Hey, that is true. Fortunately, my Sombra is not looking too shabby either. Sombra is looking rather good. My Hanzo, on the other hand, let's not even talk about that one.
Well, you're a hit scan. You like playing hit scan, not projectile.
Yeah,
So
and you actually
it's
can
okay.
see that trend. If you look at my Widowmaker at McCree at Soldier way down in the list. Actually, Soldier, I'm in like the 99th percentile for a lot of these categories.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, you can see like those are probably like my forte just from looking at sheer stats. And then it starts going down, like the semi hit scans like Tracer, like Sombra, I'm doing relatively well still. But once it gets to the projectile heroes, it starts slowly decreasing from there. Like Genji is probably like my best one at that. Hanzo looking not very good. Doomfist looking a little shaky as well. Reaper looking all right. Junkrat looking very bad. So I definitely should put some work on my projectile DPS. That's for sure.
I think it all comes down to putting in playtime too, right? So having a large list of heroes and trying to improve on all of them at once is very difficult. So
Yeah.
picking a season, picking one or two heroes that you want to improve on can go a long way. And you don't want to do VOD reviews and keep track of your stats for like 10 different heroes anyway. You want to do like one or two, that way you can keep track of what you're doing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I find this really interesting. If you guys find it interesting, I definitely encourage you to check it out yourselves. I've been getting into the whole stats and analysis stuff lately. I've mentioned that I've been doing a course for it as well. So I've been trying to learn the insides and outs. So I love talking to Switch about this stuff. I find it quite fascinating. I guess to close out this discussion a little bit, what things would you like Blizzard to offer so that you could make your job a little bit easier, or if you had access to more detailed stats, what would you like?
I think there's a couple of things that would be really good. One thing is being able to have somehow, but it's hard. There's lots of challenges, but in an ideal world, you want to have per match stats, right? And not only per match stats, but of what heroes you played and how you did, but like match stats, like what heroes were being played on the other team, what heroes were being played on your team. That
Right,
way
and
you
you
can
want
kind of
this with
see.
like a timestamp, right? Like that you can see at this
Uh,
period of time
sure.
this hero
Or
is there.
even attack, defense, or by round would even be okay. Something.
Okay.
But the point is like, oh, they ran goats. What did we run? Oh, we got rolled over. Right? Something that can kind of tell you, oh, I'm really bad at playing on this map. This map I always lose. Why am I losing this map? Oh, because I'm playing this hero on this map, and it turns out that I don't know, on Ilios well, the other team always runs Hog, Orisa, and Lucio. And my team, like I'm playing main tank, and instead I always just play Reinhardt and get booped into the hole. Like something like that you can actually take some additional information about what's happening, where that actually would somehow help reduce the amount of effort that you have to spend doing VOD reviews, because you can just kind of see what the metas are, what the other team's playing, what your team's playing. I think that would be really great.
Yeah, actually being able to see match statistics based on composition and being able to see what compositions overall tend to thrive on certain maps, I think that would be very interesting on the ladder, right? Just like a massive amount of matches that you could look
Yeah.
at.
So it takes a ton of data to do that. I think it's a super big challenge technically, but maybe they could come up with a way to just keep track of your last 5 games or your last 2 games, or it doesn't have to be all time, which is kind of what your stats are now. So
Hmm.
that's one thing. That's probably the biggest thing. If they can do that, that can really help you improve, because you can see that, oh, I don't understand how to play on the Busan map at all, right? So maybe I need to spend some time
I don't
figuring
need
out where the
stats to
health
tell me
spikes are.
that. Every time I go on the map, I get reminded of it.
Yep. So just things like that, being able to have a win loss by map. That way you can see that. Being able to keep track of, um, yeah. I think there are things that Blizzard wants to do. It would surprise me if these things are not on the dev team's to-do list.
The checklist,
But
yeah.
the checklist of things
They're
that they
probably far
hope to
down.
do and plan to do, but it's not the priority. Like,
No, no, no.
right? They've been fixing the supports. They've been, they've reworked multiple heroes. They're
They're trying
putting
to
out
get
events and
Overwatch
other
League off the
content.
ground.
That's right. That's right.
That's
So,
basically what took up the most of the entire year for that team, I believe.
and not to speculate too much, but they said that there were 3 social features coming out. One was endorsements. The other was, what was the other one? Endorsements.
The
I'm
looking for
forgetting.
group.
Looking for group, and then they had a third one, and that third one was supposed to be out this year, but it's taken so much time to develop that it's being pushed off. So who knows what that is? It could be a clan system or whatever. Either way, they have other priorities, but it would surprise me if these things were not already on their list.
You know, I definitely know it's in their mind because when we had Scott Mercer a while back, he mentioned that one of the things that he would love would be like a match histogram for players, that players could go back and see a detailed list of statistics based on their previous match. I don't know how many matches you could go back in time and look, but at least a few, you know, at least the last one that you played, I think they wanted to be able to show you that. And that interview was about a year ago, more than a year ago. So I know that they've thought about it. I know that the people who are developing the game want it to be in the game. But they've also haven't mentioned anything since then. So who knows?
They're continuing to update statistics. They're continuing to improve stuff, but we may have to wait a little bit. I'm still waiting for the training room updates with some flying bots, that way I can practice. Or having an AI bot that's a Pharah. But maybe I should just play ranked instead and actually get better at the game.
We should get Google AI to start learning Overwatch.
they already can play Dota. Maybe we can.
There you go. That's it's about time to learn to play a first-person shooter. Um, Alrighty, guys. I hope that this episode wasn't a little bit too technical or too stat heavy. I know I can get a little bit carried away with these topics, especially when Rob is not over here and I have the man Switch, the stats man over here. I just gotta take advantage of it. I hope that for those of you who are interested in statistics, this maybe shed a little bit of light on how you can use this a little bit more to your advantage. It can be a little bit abstract when you're just looking at all these numbers, and especially if you don't look at them in a critical way, they might not mean much to you, and you might not be able to actually get anything out of it. But if you're actually looking at it with the right scope, in the right circumstances, and asking the right questions, it can be an awesome tool to help you improve it very fast and focus on the right things. Anything else you want to add over here, Switch? How about you promo your website and all your other stuff so people can find you?
Definitely. You can check out this player stats on the website omnicmeta.com, and you can keep up with articles and everything that I write on Twitter or on the website. Twitter is omnicmeta, at omnicmeta, and if you want to keep track of my personal Twitter, where I post things about my funny things my daughter says and things that I'm trying to do, just even, I don't know, with my traveling and all this other stuff like BlizzCon, which is coming up. You can follow my personal Twitter at the Switch Fucks.
That's right. All right, guys, let's close out the show. Before we do want to give a very, very special shout out to all of our diamond sponsors. You guys are the bomb. Thank you so much for supporting the show at the top level. You guys keep the lights on and help us out so much in attending things like BlizzCon and in creating the best content possible for all of you. Ben K, Britmus, Chris the Playa, Durandal, Jan Jinkle, Lissum, Mr. Mars, Roger B, Ricky Dicky, Shazir, Solo, Terry F, Timothy W, Top Score Solutions, and Tragic Sack. Thank you so much, guys. You guys rock. Also, if you want to find the show outside of the episode, you can find us on Twitter at Omnic Lab. You can go to patreon.com to join this fine group of gentlemen I just mentioned and support the show. Patreon.com/Omnic Lab. You can do it there. Join our Discord community. We have a very active Discord community that hosts game nights and just has an awesome amount of people in there over at discord.me/omniclab. You can email the show over at omniclabpodcast@gmail.com, and you can go to our website to find all of our archives at omniclab.com. That's where you can find all of our episodes. If you want to find me personally, you can do so over at Twitter, over at I Play Games. You spell that IPLAI Games, and just like Switch, I'll usually texting about my whereabouts in life, what my current projects are, my interests, and anything that I find funny, I'll put it in there. Thank you guys for joining us today. Next episode, we'll have Rob back, but I hope you enjoyed this little special episode with Switch and I. Thank you for coming. You'll have a good one. I should have my music queued up, but very unprepared. Hey, Icy. Didn't see you there in the chat.
Hey, Icy.
You ready for BlizzCon? You're gonna be in the panel this year.
I know. How many people are in the panel that we know?
Oh, there's the whole crew now.
That's so cool, actually. Your guys' podcast is really nice, Icy. I'm glad you're able to be on the panel.
I have nothing more to teach you. The rest you must learn for yourself. Walk in harmony, my student.
I'm trying to figure out whether we need to be doing some cheering at the panel, actually. Like, what can we do? Can we make some signs or something? Should we sit in the front row and heckle you guys, or
You
what?
should definitely make some signs like, Andres, I want to have your baby. Something very out there.
It should be fun. Who else is on the panel? So it's you, both you guys, Rob and you, Icy,
Bob, Icy. Yeah, the whole crew.
Bob as well. Okay, and
And I believe.
who's the host? Is it Rob?
Oh,
yeah.
Rob is gonna be hosting. Yeah.
Okay.
And totally drunk. Totally drunk.
Oh,
He's
okay.
gonna be part of the panel.
From
too.
Heroes Never Die. Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for coming. For those who showed up.
Bye.
Bye.